Hey folks, this will be my 4th video of the day. I can barely do 4 videos in a month. But lack of sleep, a little bit of stress, mostly the lack of sleep, makes me a little more laid back, I think. My guard's not up. And when I say my guard's up all the time. Well, not all the time, a lot. I'm kind of reserved in my personal life. I really am. But I got in, I was kind of resting my lower back, right? Because it's cold, you know, old bones. And started reading down through some of the comments from the last video. And I'm telling you, folks have a good sense of humor. You do. You have a good sense of humor. But for the person who, I think it was called Pepper Shake, when you mentioned the rooster looks a little stiff, yeah, he should. When I got home early Monday morning, because I wasn't home for the windstorm that we had here in Maine, right? There was branches down, everything had flown everywhere, right? Well, it wasn't until the afternoon that I saw this poor rooster here. It was, I have a wooden, remember that wooden fence, that wooden cedar fence that a friend of the family dropped off to me? Well, it's still there. That poor rooster's head was jammed right in that fence. So I took a picture of it, and I kind of put it back. So I think, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to call that rooster Pepper Shake, because it doesn't have a name. And it's just been sitting there until I have a place to put it. I have another white rooster. This one was given to me as a gift. And I have a white rooster that is on my driveway mailbox number type thing. The mailbox isn't here, but the house number is. And I have one up there. And the same person gave me both of them. So thank you very much for the chuckle. Thank you very much for helping me name Pepper Shake. Appreciate it. So, for the person who asked if I was Aries, no, I am Gemini. I'm Gemini. In my heart, I'm full of love. I can get spunky. I can tell it like it is. And for the most part, throughout the years, my co-workers quite enjoy my humor. So, let's see. There was a comment on Joel. Mr. Joel, thank you for not mansplaining what I've been practicing from the house to here. Dielectric grease. That's hard for me to say. I'm just going to call it bulb grease. But yes, that's exactly right. Thank you very much. Thank you for not mansplaining me. You didn't have to say that. I think I know you well enough through here in your comments to know that you're not that kind of guy. So thank you. Yes, bulb grease. That's what I'm going to call it. I'll never remember. Dielectric or dielectric. I'm not sure which it is now. So there's that. A lot of you folks believe in chemtrails. Depends on who you talk to. Depends on what kind of answer you're going to get. You're either going to get, yeah, and total agreement, or you're going to get laughed at. One of the two. I did have a gentleman down to the store, Mike, nice guy. When I mentioned it to him one day, it was just in passing, and it was probably over a year ago. And he explained all this stuff, altitude, and the pressure, and the water vapor, and all of that. And I agree. I agree that is definitely a possibility. But I have seen things change here, folks. It seems awfully funny. Just before a big rain, you see crisscrosses and lines in the sky that start out small and just get wider and wider. The next thing you know, it's cloudy and it rains within the day or two. Right? So I am going on what I see and what kind of a pattern I am seeing with that. I other than that, I do not know. All I know is when I see those streaks and when I see those tic-tac-toe patterns in the sky, it does cloud up and it does rain. So I'm not saying all things that fly in the sky do that. I'm not saying that because I know it's not that way. So there's that, right? I do know that last summer, not this summer here, but last growing season, we had a very, very poor garden season because it was cold and it was rainy and very windy. Everything rotted in my garden for the most part. The year before that was in a major drought, so I felt like it was an endless, constant chore to lug buckets of water from the bog up to my garden and spend hours watering my garden just so I could have a garden that year. Things don't seem to be growing very, very well. I grow, and somebody mentioned it here in one of the comments, and I can't remember who, and I apologize, but I too have noticed and I don't know if it was me and my cousin Shay or me and Sister Barb that was talking about this, but any heirloom seeds, they tend to struggle. Any seeds that are hybrids seem to do okay. Well, guess what I grow here, right? So I do grow some hybrids, I really do, but very few, folks, very few. So I could go very deep down that rabbit hole, but it's very exhausting for me. There's so much that seems to be against those of us who try to self-sustain, right? Seems to be a whole lot against us. But most of us who try to self-sustain, we're pretty stubborn, and we will find a way, right? We will find a way. So I guess that's it. It has cooled off quite a lot. The sun is shining just before it goes down, right? The geese are still not happy with me whatsoever. But they've got food, they've got water, they've got a nice hut, they've got a nice lean-to, all kinds of pine shavings in there. Not that they need it. In the wintertime, they'll lay right down on the ground, tuck their feet right in their feathers, tuck their head and beak right underneath their wing, and it'd be 4 to 6 inches of snow on them, and they're just as comfortable as can be. So I'm not worried about that whatsoever. It'll be interesting to see if they even go in any of those cubbies at all tonight. They probably won't. They'll probably just lay right on the ground. So I know there were more comments. A lot on the chemtrails. A lot of comments on that. If you did not see the video I posted before this one, and even if you did, the very beginning of that video, in order to see what I filmed, you're going to have to go into a dark room. You're going to have to go into the closet, folks. Okay, close the door behind you. Don't turn the light on. And play the beginning of that video. You'll see what I recorded a whole lot clearer. And Quiet Life 60 used to be Cat in the North. Hey, Cat. We've had a conversation which goes into more detail on why I filmed it and what I observed and for how long I observed it. What it is, I have no idea. I have never seen anything like that in my life. But it was there for several hours, and it was just on this pulsing rhythmic pattern. And if you were outside, you could not miss it. And it was that film where I filmed that in the beginning of that last video was right on the culvert where I was this morning for my walk. If you saw that video, right there. And through the woods, as the crow flies, it was probably about 5 miles away. On my way home, I drove underneath it. Anyway, you'll have to go read the comments, add what you will, but you're going to have to watch the first part of that in the dark, folks. I'm sorry. I tried to watch it myself after I posted it, and I'm like, I can't see a damn thing. I can't see anything. So I went in my pantry where there's no light, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Well, that's plain and clear right there. So if you missed that, or if you want to go back and watch it again and give me your input, read the comments from Kat and I, and we'll go from there. I'm awful curious. I'm awful skeptical. I am very cautious, and I don't trust the powers that be at all. At all. So, y'all be good. This is getting late. I got to start my chores. And, holy Hannah, folks, I got to put my feet up. Bye-bye.